This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everyone. So today is the demo session of Java. First thing, what is the necessity of learning any programming language? Like we have Java, .NET, Python, PHP. There are different programming languages. The main purpose of learning any language is to develop software. Software, in the sense, it is categorized into two things. One is system software, and the other thing is application software. System software means the operating system we use, like Windows, Linux, and macOS. And application software means we have three categories, like desktop software application. For example, the games we play, the MS Office we are using in our system, the Adobe Reader, whatever we install in a particular system comes under desktop applications. Next, we have web applications like websites, Facebook, Gmail, Amazon. All these websites are developed under web applications. Okay, so next is mobile applications. So mobile applications are developed using Android and iOS. So anything related to a machine, if you are developing, that is developed using programming languages. And what are the different languages we have? Let's say suppose I have Java, which uses a concept known as OOPS, object oriented programming structure. Next we have PHP, again which is also using the principle known as OOPS. Again we have .NET, which uses OOPS. So what's happening here? Python is also using OOPS. So in order to learn any programming language, first you should have an understanding of the OOPS principles. So these OOPS principles, there are six OOPS principles. What are those? First is class, second is object, next encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction. These are the six principles which are followed in any OOPS language. Now, in this, we'll discuss class and object. If you understand this, you can understand the remaining principles also. So, what is an object? Object is a real world entity which exists physically. In your surroundings, whatever the physical entity is there, it is an object. For example, the mobile you're using, the laptop, fan, bottle, book, pen, everything comes under object. So, what is object? You can say which exists, and to identify the object, we have some properties, and it is used to perform an action. What is not an object? Which doesn't exist. For example, I have air, energy, thought, feelings. These doesn't exist. So we can say it as class. Means there are two things. One which exists is an object, one which doesn't exist is a class. Two categories. Now answer me, Apple is a class or an object? So if you understand, just try to answer everyone. Anyone? You got what I'm saying till now? One which exists is an object and one which doesn't exist is a class. Which are visible is an object, which are not visible is a class. Those two things we have discussed. So I'm asking what is Apple is an object or a class? And try to answer. Anyone? So if you don't interact, there is no use of this session, right? So try to answer if you understand or not. I'm just asking a simple basic question. Kumar,
guys
Deepak.
guys please interact with the trainer, because it is not a monopoly session, it is an interactive session. Because you are a Java full stack developer, you have to be thorough with the hands-on knowledge. Whatever the trainer will ask, you have to answer for that. Then only you will be a good developer. If you are listening, it is not useful to anyone also. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right, sir.
Yeah, so try to participate everyone. So what is Apple? Is a class or an object?
Object, sir.
Mango, class or object?
Object, sir.
Fruit, class or object?
Class. Class.
So apple we have seen in either red or green color. Mango we have
Yes.
seen yellow or green, but we
Yes,
haven't
sir.
seen a fruit. So
Yes.
what is fruit? Fruit is a class and apple and mango are the objects.
Object.
So what is a class definition? Collection of objects we can say.
Yes, sir.
Collection of
Object.
objects. And what is an object? Object which exists and it has some properties. You can perform an action. So just we can say collection of properties and action. That is also a class definition. Now, if I ask you, tiger, class or object,
Tiger is object.
animal, class or object,
Class.
flower, class or object,
Flower is a class. A object, sir. No, no, a class
and rose,
is a object.
person, class or object,
Rose is a object.
person, class or
Person is
object,
a person. Person is a class.
Rahul, class or object.
Object.
Now, any person will have some properties and he can perform some action. So, what are
Yes.
the properties of a person? How to identify a person?
By the name. Ability
Name
is in
and what we have age, we have height, we have weight.
color.
So, all this comes under properties of a person. Now, what are the actions of a person?
Action.
So, what is this? What are the actions we have? We have walk,
Walk,
we
talk.
have
Read, write.
read, we have talk, We have
Listen, talking, replying,
sleep. Yeah, so
feedback,
everything is an object,
action.
right?
Hmm.
Yeah, action you can say, because object contains its properties and action. So
Yes.
till now what we discussed is a general scenario. Now for the same thing, if I write a program in Java, what we do, we write a class, and I have a particular class known as person,
Person.
right?
Hmm.
So here, what are the properties? Int, integer values, age, float, decimal values, height, walk, read. So these are the methods. So what is void, we'll see at the time of methods. Okay. So till now,
Hmm.
class is a collection of properties and action, and we can also say collection of variables and methods. Okay. So we can also say the definition is collection of variables and methods, right? Next, for age or the person doesn't exist. We said object exists and person doesn't exist. It means memory is not allocated for the class person inside the RAM. So without memory, we cannot store any particular values.
Hmm.
Simply age, height, read doesn't occupy any memory, bytes or space. And without space, we cannot store the values. So if I want to store age equals to 22, it is not possible because age doesn't have memory. For the entire class, there is no memory. So in order to allocate the memory, what we do is we create a object, because object exists, right? So I'll create a person Rahul, and in RAM, what happens is Rahul memory will be allocated, and it occupies memory for age and for height. For both the variables, the memory will be allocated. So what we have, age and height memories. Now, if I want to access that age equals to 22, still it is not possible because age doesn't have memory. That Rahul memory contains a age location. So if you want to access that variable age, you need to say Rahul dot age, the memory location dot age. These things we required. Okay. So without memory, we cannot access the variables and methods of a class. So one person, one object I created. If there are another person, let's say person Kiran, what will happen? Another memory will be allocated,
Yes, sir. Different person, different
which
memory.
contains age and height. And here, if I want to store again these values, what I need to do, can I access only age equals to 44? Is it fine? Will it store that value in that location?
Yes, sir.
Where is
Because
the
those add.
memory?
Hmm.
In which memory we are
Human
storing? This is what memory?
age.
Without specifying the memory, can we access the variable?
No, Kiran, sir. Kiran dot age.
So what is it? Kiran dot
Age.
age. So this Kiran dot age is what here that value will be stored. So what's the advantage? Why we are doing like this? Here, how many times age is written? Once. How
One.
many times we are accessing?
One.
Twice.
Twice. Ah, yes, sir.
Right?
Mm.
So variable declared once accessed multiple number of times based on multiple objects. That is the advantage of oops. So in the class, whatever the variables and methods are declared, we are writing them only once. We can access them or use them multiple number of times based on multiple objects. Suppose if there are 10 requirements, so 10 objects must be created. Okay, so that's the advantage of oops. That's the reason oops means object oriented. Everything revolves around the object itself. Okay, so anyone, any doubts? Is this thing clear? Like class doesn't have memory and we create object to access that. Try to respond. If you have any doubts, you can ask. See, it's a simple thing. Class is like a
Memory.
blueprint. We write the blueprint once,
Mm.
we construct the buildings based on the material. So n number of buildings can be constructed based on the material itself, and material is nothing but the object. So if you have memory, you can access that variables and methods. If you don't have memory, we cannot access. So no doubts.
Yes, sir.
Kumar, Deepak, Murli,
Yes, sir.
Pramila, Pushpa, Sanket, Sheikh, Shravanti. Try to respond. If you don't respond, I won't get it right whether you are getting or not. So simply what I have explained is oops, and in oops we have explained class and object, because daily you will write the class, daily you will write the variables, daily you will write the methods, and daily you will create the object. For any concept, any program in Java, you need to understand this basic thing. And what is the basic thing? Class written once can be accessed n number of times based on n number of objects. And here the term object means simply memory. By using this memory, we can access the variables. See, previously, before Java, C, C++, or other languages, what they used to do, they allocate the memory first itself. So that is an inefficient memory utilization. For example, there are two classrooms. In each class, there are 50 chairs. Okay. Now, in class 1, only 30 students came. In class 2, 60 students came. So, what's happening? Inefficient memory utilization. Coming to Java, memory is allocated if a student exists. So, what's happening here? I'll remove all the chairs from the classes. If a student comes, he'll take a chair and sit. So in class 1, if only 30 students came, so 30 chairs will be occupied. In class 2, if 60 students came, 60 chairs will be occupied. So that is the main advantage of having this class and object and oops, where memory utilization is done properly for an application or a project. Okay, so still any doubts or shall I continue? Respond, guys. Say yes or no at least. So the thing what we are learning in this entire training, I'll explain through an application. Let's say if I have a Facebook application, you see. In Facebook, we give a username and password in two text boxes. So one text box is there, there is another text box. No login is there. So these values will be taken by a web server, and we have this backend that is the server side technologies, and whatever the values we enter are stored in the database. Means if you want to do a Facebook login or a Gmail login, at the time of registration, the username and password is stored in the database. And at the time of login, we'll check whether the values exist or not. So database is like a storage where we store all the data. And what databases we can use? MySQL, Oracle, PostgreSQL, MongoDB. All these databases are used in the present projects. And here, this is known as front end. And this you can say back end or server side technologies. So what we have here, a web server. Now, if I'm giving a value, some XYZ and ABC, to create this text box and the button, we use this HTML, that is hypertext markup language. So this hypertext markup language is used to create the text box and the button. Now to apply the styles and the animations, we use CSS. So cascading style sheet. CSS applies the styles and animations to the web page. Now if the username and password is entered or not, without entering, if I click on login, it will give please enter username and password. If the phone number is not entered properly or email is not entered correctly, it will give a message. So that validation is done using JavaScript. So JavaScript is the client side validation. And these HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are integrated in a framework known as React JS. So present front-end technology used in the projects. React. Next. So if I enter these values and take it to the web server, so there are two requests actually. Whenever we use an application, there are two requests. One is static, the other thing is dynamic. Static means which doesn't change with every request. For example, in Wikipedia, if you search Sachin Tendulkar, every time it will give the same details and the same page. That is static request. If you ask for the Facebook login, every time the same page will come. So that login page is a static request. If you give the username and password and click on login, for every user there is a different home page. That's a dynamic request. For every hall ticket number, there is a different result page. So that's a dynamic request. Okay, so next, here web server can handle only static request. If you ask login page, it will give login page. Can handle only static request. A simple thing, if you want a bank account, you go to the bank and you won't go directly to the manager and ask for the bank account. There will be different departments in the bank and each department is doing a task. The same way in a web application also, front end is for the text boxes, buttons, animations and all validations are done using the front end technologies. Web server can handle the static request. To handle the dynamic request, we use server side technologies, right? Like servlets and JSP we use. But in servlets and JSP, for every request, a separate class is written. So if there are hundreds of requests, hundreds of classes, so what's happening? The complexity and everything is increasing. The repetition of the code is repeating. To overcome that, they introduced Spring framework, where for every request you write a method. What happens in a class? You can write a number of methods, right? So the complexity reduces. And after the Spring framework, they introduced this Spring Boot framework. So we need external things for the Spring framework, extra support, but all those are inbuilt in the Spring Boot framework. Next, if you want to interact with the database, we need to have a database technology because the server side technologies can only generate the dynamic request. To send these values to the database, we use either JDBC along with the servlets and JSP and Hibernate or JPA along with the Spring and Spring Boot. So that's the main thing you can say. Next, these values once we check whether exist in the database, if they exist, we give a object to the backend. Backend will generate a page and this page is given to the web server. Web server hands it out to the front end technology. So everyone understood how that login works in a web application. And if you understand, here in Java we used int, float, double, these data types. But in React we don't use these things, right? React doesn't use this int or HTML or CSS doesn't use this int float. So whatever the data you are giving, how come we can send this data to the backend? Those two are two different technologies, right? So for that reason, there is a particular JSON, JavaScript object notation, which we used in the REST API. So REST API is nothing but the URLs through which we send the values in the form of JSON, JavaScript object notation, so that React.js and the Spring framework can interact and send the values to each other. So we'll learn this REST API also. And to check that URL is working properly or not, we use Postman app or we use this Swagger tool in the projects. And in a project, there are multiple developers. It's not that only single person is developing, right? Or single programmer. So how does 5 developers code is integrated in a single project? How we can merge that entire thing? That integration is done using this GitHub. And to develop this code, we use this IDE. What is IDE? Integrated Development Environment. We use Eclipse IDE, or we use IntelliJ, or we use STS, Spring Tool Suite. These three are the used things in the projects. Okay. So all these technologies will learn, and along with that, we'll learn this Maven tool also, which helps in developing the Spring and Spring Boot projects. So this is the technologies. These all technologies what I have written now will be learned throughout this training. And at the time of servlets and JSP, will create a book application where a person can log in, register registration and login. He can add the book, view the book, update the book, and delete the book. So these operations are nothing but, you can say, create, retrieve, update, delete, CRUD operations. And these are merged with servlets and JSP, Spring and the Spring Boot. So everyone understood these technologies? Any doubts in this thing? Yeah, so that's it from my end. Yeah, Rajesh. So I'm
Total
ending the meeting. Okay.
real-time project you are providing.
Yeah, we are doing a POC project, proof of concept. So any particular company first does this proof of concept itself for the clients, so that we'll make it part of the code, and we'll do it.
Sir, I need some doubt. Is there career gap students are eligible to join this course, sir?
Yes, anyone can join this course, because
Okay.
after BTech, if you learn this course as a fresher, you can go. And
Yeah,
career gap also, like
I have completed my MCA in 2015, sir.
okay.
But later I'm not in IT field. It's a huge gap, like 8 years nearly. So I'm thinking about after the completion of this course, am I able to get job in IT field?
Yeah, for that you need to do few things, like either whatever the gap is there, you need to fill this gap with other work experience. It should not be relevant, but at least some other work experience. And in the interviews, they'll like keep that questions, right? If you're able to answer, they will take that.
Yeah, you
Because
initially
irrespective of the gap, the only thing they will see the knowledge what you have and what experience you are submitting. That
yes,
experience is genuine or not.
previously, like me, is there any candidates really like me are able to get job in
Yes,
getting
there are a
through?
lot of people who are shifting from non-IT to IT.
Mhm.
Yeah, so daily most of the people are will be doing the same thing. They learn the course. Once they are good to go, they will keep the resume, and whatever that technology they will keep. Based on the technology, they'll get the calls. And in the interview also, they'll see how much knowledge you have, because they won't directly select you, right? Here
Yeah.
nowadays, what happens is that they give a program and ask you to write,
Mm.
or else they will ask the technical questions related to the subject. If you are able to answer based on the practice, then they'll consider this job option. And whatever the experience you're submitting, that should be a valid experience. That's the only thing. It shouldn't be non-IT. That's fine.
Mhm.
Okay.
But there
Any
is
other
no
doubts?
certificate for me, sir. That is the problem.
That we have a lot of other options also. Like uh, once we start the journey, I'll guide you like what we can do and how we can
Okay. How many months
cover that up. Sorry,
course duration, sir? Course duration.
3 months will be the course duration.
Mhm.
Daily 1 hour session will be there.
All
You all
these
will be provided.
Spring Boot and Spring Framework and MySQL, Oracle, all these are your teaching, sir. HTML, CSS, JavaScript, like
Yes,
web related, sir, or
everything I'll cover. Whatever I've explained here, all these things will be covered in
can
the
you
training.
show me the syllabus paper, sir? Syllabus paper.
Yeah,
Can you?
like Rajesh will share it to you in the
Yeah.
WhatsApp. I'll share
Okay.
it to him. Okay. At present, you can just go through that. Okay. If you have any doubts, you can get back to him.
So we
Apart,
can
yeah.
you can provide me like real time experience, like in company projects, sir,
So
in
whatever
training.
that, yes, whatever we are doing will be in the real time scenario itself, like the concepts, examples, application. So what we'll do is we'll mimic the application, what's happening in the real time, and we'll mimic and create a application on your own.
Okay.
See, Rohit, excuse me. See, real-time projects as we are doing. See, this course is generally Rohit will train you for 3 months course duration. After 3 months, you will be allocated as an intern. Okay, there are two types of interns available with us. One is free internship, and the second one is paid internship. Okay, if you are having a very good communication skills and a very good knowledge on the concept what he has teach, okay, so we will I mean send you in an internship mode, so that there these are the real companies, okay, they will recruit you and they will give you internships for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months and 12 months, okay, based on your communication skills and communication corporate knowledge and behavior in the in that particular company, they will hire you in that company only, okay. So that's why we are challengingly taken this batch as a guaranteed training program. Okay, no need to bother about this, and please concentrate and please interact with the trainer. Rohit will guide you because he is a very good experience and he is a real time trainer now. He is working in a very big MNC company. So whatever he is doing in his work, he will tell you, he will train you in this project only, okay. So please gain very good knowledge. We'll have mock interviews every 10 days, and every 1 month we'll have an interviews for the internships, okay. No need to bother about that. This is the job guaranteed training program. Rest we will take care, and whatever the doubts you are having, ask Rohit. He will clear everything, okay. Any doubts?
Yes, sir. Just I'm thinking about just a career gap of 8 years, sir. That is my
No,
problem.
see, no need to bother about that. Okay, no need to bother about that because
Okay.
that's why we are taking this batch. Okay, even you are having career gap also, that we will guide you. Me and Rohit will guide you how you will go, because now you are working in any other company.
No, sir. Completely non-IT, like some other
No,
business.
no problem. It is a non-IT also. You are working or just
And working means it's own, sir. Own.
so you are a businessman,
Yes, businessman means I'm
self
helping in
entrepreneur. Okay.
helping in relatives business.
No problem, no problem, no issues, no issue. Okay. See, that I will tell you the part while once we journey started. See, what are the things in the IT field, how you can go. Okay, that I'll guide you and I'll teach you. Okay, be
Okay.
in touch with us because there is our number is there 7799222383 as a WhatsApp and call also. You can give me call. I will talk personally. Okay. Just everything we will take care. Everything training, the best. See, my advice is concentrate on the training. It is an interactive session because then only you will gain a knowledge, real time knowledge. Because it is a real time project project lead in a big MNC. Okay, gain knowledge from him. Rest your placement and all those things we will take care. Clouds and tools. My name is
Sir,
Rajesh. Okay, I will take care.
mathematical knowledge is compulsory, sir, to learn Java full stack.
Rohit, can you clear this doubt?
Yes, come again.
Mathematical knowledge is compulsory, sir. To this learn to learn this Java full stack development, logical
Um,
thinking.
See, basic like sixth class max, if you know that's sufficient. Like plus, minus, division.
Yes, sir.
If you know greater than, less than, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything else? Anyone? Yeah.
Yeah,
Fine
Rohit,
then.
you can leave. Okay, you can.